Let's talk Bulgarian split squats during pregnancy. Should you do them? Should you modify them? Or just plain avoid them? Well, like everything to do with training during pregnancy, the answer lies somewhere in between and is super individual to each woman and to each pregnancy, which is why in this video, I'm going to give you my perspective as a pregnancy and postnatal specialist strength coach around training the Bulgarian split squat during pregnancy. And I'm going to give you specific research-backed reasons why I have this perspective, along with some fantastic alternatives and modifications. So if you want to train in the safest possible way during your pregnancy by following research-backed training advice from a specialist, then this video is absolutely for you. And while most people seem to have a love-hate relationship with this exercise, it's a solid staple in most strength training programs, and for good reason too, because it's a fantastic unilateral exercise that helps improve strength and muscle imbalances from left to right side. And trust me, when you have strength imbalances, single leg work really highlights these, and by working in single leg, you can work to bring those imbalances closer. And by doing so, you actually significantly decrease your chances of injury or pain or both. It also helps with your balance and stability, which is fantastic. And another thing is you can go quite heavy on them, which helps to increase your muscle mass. Now, an interesting thing that I love is that your body can actually produce more force unilaterally per leg than it can bilaterally. In fact, you can produce 85% of bilateral force per leg. And then when it comes to, and I hate using this word, but functionality, our body actually works in locomotion. So when we walk or run, we do this one leg at a time. So it's training a movement pattern that we actually perform every single day. So as an exercise for your everyday person, Bulgarian split squats are a fantastic exercise, which I absolutely love. But here's the thing, during pregnancy, as much as you are still so strong and so capable, you have contributing factors that change your body's physiology, which can actually impact how you move. And the other thing to consider is that no two pregnancies are the same. So what one person can do, no problems at all, another may feel considerable pain when doing the same exercise. So when it comes to the Bulgarian split squat during pregnancy, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do them. I'm saying that there are a few things that we need to consider, and I'm going to cover them now. So you have the change in your center of gravity causing your pelvis to anteriorly tilt, and this places load onto your lumbar erectors. You also have joint laxity in your lumbar spine due to hormones and the changes to your abdominals. You have the increased mobility of your pelvis that allows you to birth your baby, and along with the weight of the baby, adding extra pressure to your lumbopelvic region. So you have a lot going on. Before I continue, for those of you who aren't experiencing lower back pain or pelvic pain, for those of you who are totally fine performing single leg exercises and can do them without pain during pregnancy, I would say you can absolutely continue to do Bulgarian split squats, but with this one small modification, which is based on studies around Bulgarian split squats. So you want to use a box height measuring half of your tibialis, which is your shin bone. Now others say a 20 centimeter box height is perfect, but if you want to be super individual, use the measurement from your own tibialis. Now the reason for this, as opposed to having your foot placed behind you on, say, a bench with your shoelaces down, of course, this has to do with the height of the bench and what this does to your hip, lumbar spine and erector spinae. So with your rear foot placed high on a bench, this increases your anterior pelvic tilt and hyperextension of your lumbar spine. It also places more torque on the hip joint. And it's for these reasons why I won't program that for women who have lower back or pelvic pain during pregnancy. And to be honest, even if they don't, I generally don't program Bulgarian split squats for pregnant clients unless it's using a lower box, and prefer to actually use the following three alternatives instead. So the heel elevated split squat places a wedge underneath the front foot's heel. the rest of your setup is your traditional split squat setup. So you're still going to target your glutes and hamstrings like in the Bulgarian split squat, but the front foot elevation will target your quads as well. With this variation, you don't actually need to drive your knee too far forward. You want to think about letting it glide forwards while still keeping the weight through your heel, and that's really important. You don't want to let your heel come off that wedge on your front foot. And trust me, this innocent looking exercise is actually killer. Now then you have one of my all-time favorite exercise and one that I use most often instead of Bulgarian split squats, and that's the rear foot elevated split squat. Now this is essentially a Bulgarian split squat in terms of setup, muscles used and movement pattern. And as I just mentioned, the lower elevation of this variation minimizes the anterior pelvic tilt, the hyperextension of your lumbar spine and torque on the hip joint that you'd get from a higher box. And you can still use, say, a small elevation like I have, up to say 20 centimeters, which I've already mentioned. And from my perspective, this is the variation that you should be using during pregnancy. And I hate that word should, but I'd be using this one. Now then you have another little innocent looking sneaky exercise, and that is the wall supported split squat, and trust me, it's a killer. Now this setup is very similar to your split squat with your rear foot flat against the wall behind you, placing a little pressure against it. This is going to force you to keep the tension on your front leg, and as you can see, I'm not able to go into full extension in the front leg and it stays a little bent, keeping the tension on that leg. And you may even actually get some hamstring activation happening in your rear leg as you place pressure into the wall behind you. And if you wanted to load this variation, I'd go with the goblet variation. Now the great thing about these exercises is that you'll still find, depending on the stance and how long it is, most pregnant women, even those with a little bit of lower back pain or pelvic pain, can perform them without pain, which makes them a much better option in my eyes. So that's it from me today. I hope this video helps, and of course, if you want more in-depth pregnancy-specific information, feel free to apply to my complimentary but private community, the Preggy Training Crew. The link is in my bio.